Hello YouTubers out there, this is the Boob Wasteland Show with your host, Jerry Saravia, and today I'm reviewing a new crime procedural show called Unforgettable, which debuted on September 20th of 2011, and it's on CBS every Tuesday at 10 p.m. The show itself is based on J. Robert Lennon's short story The Rememberer, and the show itself was also, in fact, previously titled The Rememberer. So, what is this show about? Well, it stars Poppy-Montgomery as a New York City, or a former Syracuse, New York homicide police detective named Carrie-Wells, who has a rare medical condition known as hyperthymesia, also known as highly superior autobiographical memory. Basically, she remembers everything, every little detail of every single day of her life. That's her ability, and a rare one. This is also the ability of actress Mary Lou Henner, who served as a consultant on the show. Now, at the start of the show, Carrie witnesses a murder in her apartment building, living in Queens, New York, I thought, but some people indicated it was Brooklyn, so, alright, we'll just say Queens for now. And she sees the dead body outside her apartment, calls for help, the police come over, and one of the detectives is her former boyfriend, who used to work in the Syracuse, New York Police Department, now works in the New York City Police Department's Brooklyn, although I thought it was Queens, homicide unit. Once he recognizes, by the way, the actor playing this part is Dylan-Walsh. Once he recognizes Carrie, he employs her in the police department to help solve murders. And of course, the one that we see at the start of the film, which is fairly brutal. This girl is either stabbed or bashed in the head with a glass bottle. And of course, Carrie knows this particular neighbor because she's been in her apartment helping with her groceries. So she has this ability, as I said, to remember everything, including in her mind, she can create a 360-degree panorama and knows what, let's say, photograph a framed photograph on a wall that's missing. She can remember which one that was, if in fact she had seen it already in the apartment. And of course she does. Now, at the start of the show, Carrie-Wells is doing something rather unethical with her rare medical condition. She participates in illegal gambling. Not to mention, she is ethically responsible as well. She is a nurse volunteer and helps her mother, who we don't discover until the end of the show that it's her mother, who has Alzheimer's, whom she cares for. What else can I say? I still wonder if the show Unforgettable needed to be a crime procedural show, because we have so many already on TV, from the remake of Hawaii Five-0 to Criminal Minds, NCIS, the various CSIs, Law and Order, The Mentalist. My goodness, there's just a bunch. I would think that with such a rare medical condition, it would have been far more interesting to have Carrie go from state to state, or just New York itself, uncovering other aspects that are not criminal in nature, but where her services can be employed to look for or find lost children, loved ones, anything that's established even by the standards of Without a Trace, which wasn't always about a crime, but missing children, missing persons, missing whatever. And they can also, and again, I'm just reviewing the pilot, of course, of Unforgettable, they can establish her lack of ethics when it comes to illegal gambling. And I think there's also, you could say there's a slight level of wit when it is discovered by the end of the show that Carrie is taking care of her mother who has Alzheimer's. I think it would have been a stronger pilot had it focused on not a crime, but Carrie herself, establishing her character and her subjective point of view, perhaps isolating her from the world in her apartment. Occasionally going out, maybe shy, a little demure, who knows. There's also her traumatic and occasionally triggered memory of her sister's murder, although she doesn't know who killed her sister and she can't remember some of the details. So that's one thing she can't remember. And it makes sense, because that means that whenever she incurred trauma in her life, that maybe blocks her rare medical condition from working. So I don't know if it had to be a crime show, and of course Unforgettable is. It could segue in the second episode with establishing the Dylan-Walsh character and an actual crime. But I'm not sure it needed to be a crime procedural show. And there's also a little too much coincidence in this show in finding out who is responsible for a crime, because it really relies on Carrie's memory. In other words, in the show, there's one point where she is going out somewhere late at night, and she happens to see the actual person who did the crime inside of a diner that she happened to be passing on the night in which this murder took place. So it relies a lot on coincidence in solving the crime. I'm hoping the show goes beyond criminal or crime procedures, but I don't think it will. The show's actually doing okay. I think it got 12.1 million people watching. It's much more than a Fox show that was canceled a year ago called Past Life, which dealt with police procedural and a fantasy element, that being reincarnation. Although for some it's not a fantasy at all. Reincarnation is a very real thing to many people, but that show was canceled after 3 episodes. So there's some other shows that rely on a character's observational skills. Of course, The Mentalist is a highly rated show. But we'll see if it moves beyond that. Poppy-Montgomery is a very good actress. There's something about her sorrowful face that is mesmerizing. And, I'll keep watching and let you know what I think. I think it's probably going to last at least a season, but we'll see. But it needs to distinguish itself a little bit more than just having this rare medical condition. If they can get sharper, better scripts that rely more on the characters than the actual criminal element that needs to be solved, I think it may end up being a real winner. So we'll see. And I think it should have been called something else. Unforgettable, even Ray Liotta did a movie called Unforgettable, and most people forgot that movie, so should have had a better title. I don't know what to suggest. Obviously, don't call it Carrie, because that's going to bring up memories of Stephen King's own novel and films related to. But I don't know, something else that would have been a little catchier. Can't think of anything at this time. So, anyway, that's my review of the pilot for Unforgettable. And until next time, this is the Boob Wasteland Show, signing off.